Your 20s are the one decade where the habits that you build will literally follow you for the rest of your life. So today, we're going to be ranking 13 of them, from the ones that quietly destroy you all the way up to the ones that actually change everything. So let's get straight into it. The first habit is saying no more than you say yes. Okay, now I think this is one that a lot of people in their early 20s get wrong, and I'm including myself in that, to be honest. When you're young and you're trying to build something, saying yes to everything feels like it's the move. It feels like you're being productive. Every opportunity, every project, every favor feels like you're kind of hustling, staying busy. But what ends up happening sometimes is I feel you spread yourself so thin that nothing actually gets your full attention, or your best work for that matter. And so the people who actually build something meaningful in their 20s aren't the ones doing everything. From the people that I've met, at least, it's the ones that go deep on a few things, one or two things, and say no to everything else that doesn't serve them. So learning to say no is uncomfortable, but genuinely, I think it's how you start to build momentum. That being said, I think it's something that you can learn, and it just takes some time. So I'm not going to say that this will change your life instantly, and it definitely does have huge ROI, big ROI, but I think it doesn't deserve the A tier just yet. Okay, habit number 2, investing early, even in small amounts. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is huge, and I learned this the hard way. So, you've all heard the saying that time in the market beats timing the market, yada yada yada. There's that old guy that's been telling you, you should be doing this, this, this. But starting at 22 versus 32 sounds like a huge 10-year difference, but something that I've noticed is that time goes by anyway, and it goes by so much faster year after year. By the time you're 50, if you start young, we're potentially talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars just from starting earlier. I'll give you a personal example of how I really screwed this up. Back in 2021, I was working at Zara for 20 bucks an hour. And I decided with my absolute huge brain that I'm going to spend $800 on a brand new Arc'teryx jacket. Now, keep in mind, I used to live in Queensland, and it's literally called the Sunshine State. I did not need that jacket. But if I had invested that $800 back in 2021, that would be worth about $13,000 today. Let that sink in. That was such a silly mistake. And so compound interest is either working for you or it's working against you. There's no in between. And the mistake people make is waiting until they have enough to invest properly, or wait for the perfect time, or wait till the market drops. But it's really all about the habit and the consistency that you can build. 50 bucks a month genuinely matters. Start now, figure out the rest as you go. Easy A tier. Habit number 3. Now, this is on lifestyle creep. This is, if you've got lifestyle creep, just wrap it up. And I'm not pointing the finger at you because, as you just heard, I'm guilty of this too. When something small like getting a bonus, or for me, when I get an extra student because I do tutoring, as soon as that happens, I find myself sometimes treating myself, oh, I deserve it. I made a little bit more money, so I should be spending it. It feels like a reward, and it feels like progress. But when that becomes a pattern, every time income goes up, spending goes up with it. You're like a rat on a hamster wheel. You're living paycheck to paycheck, just at a higher altitude. The lifestyle might look different, but at the end of the day, the stress is the same. And what makes it really dangerous is it quietly caps your financial future, before you even notice it happening. I think that example that I gave with that Arc'teryx jacket really hit home for me when I thought about that reality. And so consider the insane opportunity cost of what you could be missing out on. Lifestyle creep will really hurt you, and you definitely will pay for it in the future. But I think if this is consistent, this is horrible. This is just wrap it up, But you're not alone. I've been there. I think we've all been there. The sooner you get out, the better. Habit number 4: building your network before you need it. Now, you've got some happy chaps networking here. The key word here is early. Networking before you need it. Most people only think about networking when they need something, a job, introduction, favor. And I'm sure you can tell, but that energy is so obvious, and honestly, it's a little off-putting. The people who actually build strong networks do it without an agenda. You show up, you stay in touch, you check in, you add value, just every now and again. And then when the opportunity comes, and trust me, the opportunity always does come, it's so much more natural, and it's like they're already in the room. Your network is basically a multiplier on everything else you're building, and the time to build it is now. And this doesn't relate just to work. Like, honestly, this is true for so many of your relationships, your friends, your family. Just taking the time to check in and to show them that you're being intentional goes a really long way. I think this has really big ROI. I'm a bit of a harsh critic, so I'm not going to say it's going to change your life, but the sooner you get onto this, the better it's going to be. Okay, the next habit is taking sleep seriously. I think this is really underrated, and the reason why is it's not just about your sleep. It's more so about kind of having that consistency and that routine that sleep actually gets you. Because when you actually respect your sleep, everything around you just falls into place a bit better. You know, your focus is sharper, your mood more stable, your decisions are better, you have more energy. I think hustle culture has made it cool to say, oh, look at me, I go to bed at 2 o'clock and wake up at 5 a.m. and then go on the ice cold plunge and then hit the sauna for 3 hours after. Whereas in reality, I think getting solid, consistent sleep, 7, 8 hours on a regular basis is just going to multiply so many things in your life in a positive direction. So build the discipline. I know it's hard, but it makes everything better. I know a lot of people struggle with this, so I'm just going to say it's better late than never. But actually, this is big ROI. This is big ROI. Okay. Habit number 6. Identity, or deciding who you are and acting like it. This isn't really much of a habit, but it's more of a sort of philosophical shift. But honestly, I think this is one of the most powerful things on the entire list. Most people in their 20s, including myself for a long time, just let my identity form passively without actually thinking, hard and intentionally about who I am. People just become whoever their environment, their upbringing, their social circle shaped them to be. And we never really stop to question it. But what the best version of your 20s looks like is this. It's when you decide consciously who you are. It's not who you want to be someday, but who you are right now. And then you can act from that identity and things flow from it. To give you an example, when I was applying for med school last year, I knew that I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. But last year I built an identity that I was going to be someone that worked really hard. And I still believe that till this day. So when the difficult times came and when motivation dipped, having that identity that I'm someone that works hard, I'm someone that's going to get this done, really helped me to get through that. So in your 20s, when everything feels uncertain and fluid and there's so many different voices in your head, deciding who you are might genuinely be the most grounding thing you can do. This will change your life. And this applies whether you're in your teens, your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Up until you die, I think this is one of the most important things that you can really consider. Okay, moving on to the next one is avoiding hard conversations. Now, this one is so easy to justify in the moment. You keep telling yourself that you're keeping the peace and you're being mature and you don't want to bring up things that don't have to be brought up. But what's actually happening is oftentimes the resentment is building quietly, but definitely, slowly but surely it's building underneath. And the relationship that you have is slowly deteriorating and eventually it blows up anyway. But it's gotten so much more messier than it had to be. I think this one's really tricky because our culture makes it hard to, speak up about certain things when we feel like we're being mean or unthoughtful to the other person. But oftentimes an early hard conversation can save, a lifetime of regret or a relationship that could have been lost. I think it's a really underrated skill. And to be honest, a lot of people, even in their adult life, just never seem to develop it. I'm going to put it in the C tier because the effects aren't immediate, but you definitely will pay for it in the future. And I don't think it's as important as these things, but it's definitely important. Okay, habit number 8. Being intentional about who you spend your time with. So, intentional time. And this is I'm gonna put it in the A tier for now, and it's because this one sneaks up on you just like so many other things. Because you don't choose your environment consciously, you kind of just end up, where is convenient. It's not just who, people say you're the average of your closest five friends, but it's also, I think, the average of what you consume on social media, what YouTube videos you watch, what podcasts you listen to. These are all factors that subconsciously continue to shape and mold us into who we are, slowly and constantly. And so I don't think there's any question about whether it's true that your environment and your friends shape you. The question is whether you're being deliberate about those things. Are the people closest to you pulling you forward, or are they just keeping you comfortable? Are the things that they do every weekend, or when you guys go hang out, is that kind of where you want to be 10, 20 years from now? This is really, really important because we think that we live in this vacuum, but the reality is people around us matter so much more than we think. Habit number 9, acting before you're ready. And I'm just going to say, I think this is S tier immediately. And it might actually be the most uncomfortable one on the list. Most people in their 20s, and most people in general, are just waiting until they feel ready, until they know enough, until the timing is right, until the market dips, until I graduate, until I get a job. And the wait quietly becomes a year, 2 years, 5 years, a decade. And here's the thing that nobody tells you. Clarity doesn't come before the action. Clarity comes after the action. I had this motto that this mentor once told me, and it was, do it and figure it out after. And it sounds simple and it sounds like, very preachy, but I've come to realize that this is so true in so many different ways. You don't think your way into a new version of yourself. You act your way there. Every time you do something that sits just outside your comfort zone, the pitch you weren't ready for, the thing you signed up for, the boxing class that you decided to take up, you expand what now feels normal to you. Your comfort zone isn't fixed. It's like a muscle. And the only way that you can grow it is the same way that you would grow a muscle. You have to put it under more stress, more tension than what it's used to. And slowly but surely, day by day, it's going to get bigger. You're going to be more confident. You're going to get more clarity. And eventually, you're going to end up becoming the person that you really want to be. So this is S tier, and I think if there's any one thing that I think anyone should take away from this video, it's to act before you're ready. Okay, 4 more left. Building real skills and not just credentials. This one is, I'm going to say B tier. I think it's really important because nowadays, back in the olden days, if you had the credentials, like the degree, you were instantly valuable because very few people had it. But nowadays, I think we're all aware that the landscape is changing. You're not paid for your credentials, you're paid for your skills. So degrees open doors, and I'm not dismissing that, but skills are the ones that keep you in the room. I have a friend who does computer science, and he's really in it for the love of the game. And he told me that all his classmates just ChatGPT the assignment. At the end of the day, they're all going to graduate with the same degree. But I'm confident that the skills that my friend has in doing the work properly, because he likes it, and he's exercising this part, I know he's going to go so much further. So this is B. It's better late than never, but the earlier you learn it, the bigger the ROI is going to be. Okay, next habit. Comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. And I think about this one a lot, because think about the amount of time that we spend living in the third person. I mean, I'm just thinking about it now. It's crazy. Our generation is one of the first generations where we spend so much of our time exposed to other people's lives that we never would have seen before in previous generations. Social media has made it so easy to fall behind and to make it feel like everyone else is figuring it out faster or doing it better. But the comparison is almost never real. You're seeing someone else's highlight reel and you're feeling it against your behind the scenes. The longer you let that run, the more that it quietly and subconsciously eats away at your confidence and your focus. I think there's real value in recognizing that social media is fake, and also realize that even if we know it's fake, spending time away from it and off it is going to do us so much good. I think this is, I think this is A tier, honestly. I'm talking about this more from like a social media perspective, but you can definitely broaden it out to anything. Okay, building a consistent fitness habit. Um, I think this is important. I don't think I mean, it is big ROI, but I think the value in this comes from not actually getting the body. I want to be clear, it's not about the aesthetics. A consistent physical practice, whatever that looks like for you, whether that's going to the gym, training a martial art, going for a walk every day, whatever it is, it compounds in ways that touches other areas of your life. Your stress goes down, your focus goes up, your energy shifts. It's kind of similar to sleep. When you get this down pat, you prove to yourself that you can be consistent at one thing, and that multiplies and stacks into the others. The last habit is avoiding discomfort. And man, this is huge. This is another one of those sneaky ones. If you are constantly doing this, and I want to make it clear again that you're not alone. If you live like this forever, you just wrap it up. You know, it might seem like you're not doing anything wrong. You're just not doing the thing. You're comfortable. Life is fine, but to be honest, fine is the most dangerous place to be in your 20s because it's just good enough to stay, but not good enough to grow. And what happens is you spend years avoiding discomfort, and your tolerance for discomfort continues to shrink, like we talked about earlier. The job application feels too risky, the hard conversation is too overwhelming, and the new environment is too unfamiliar. And slowly, before you realize it, your world is just getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until, eventually you're so paralyzed and you're so scared to do things that you just never actually reach the potential that you have. The irony is that every single thing that you want, confidence, growth, relationships, a career you're proud of, they all sit on the other side of discomfort. Every time. It's not a coincidence. Discomfort is literally the price of admission for anything worth having. Discomfort is the price of admission for anything worth having. And the sooner you figure that out in your 20s, stop seeing discomfort as something to avoid, but rather see it as a signal that you're moving in the right direction. D tier, but if you can really embrace discomfort, this will change your life. Okay, so that's the full tier list. This is my second video now, so if you've been here all the way, I really, really appreciate it. Let me know what other kind of videos you guys want to see, and if you like the tier list formats that I'm doing. If you're new here, subscribe, and otherwise I will see you guys in the next one.